Reverse percentages is a topic that will definitely come up in the crossover section of a higher or foundation paper, meaning it's a grade 5. It'll be towards the back of a foundation paper, somewhere in the middle of a higher paper. To start, we first need to make sure that you understand how multipliers work. So if, for example, you are increasing by percentage, so say, for example, I am increasing by 20%. What would be the multiplier? And the way this always works is you will say 100 plus the percentage divided by 100. And that is how you get the multiplier. So if I was increasing by 20%, you would say 100 plus 20, so that gives you 120. Then you divide that by 100, and you get 1.2. That is the multiplier. Decreasing works the exact opposite. So for decreasing, it's 100, take away the percentage, but still divide that by 100. So in this case, let's say I was decreasing by 20%. You would say 100, take away 20, which would give me 80, divide that by 100, that would give me 0.8. And so those are the multipliers. Now, before we continue with this lesson, I would suggest that you first practice finding multipliers. So find me an increase of 12%, 2%, 3.6% as a multiplier, and then find me the 25, 10, 4% decrease as a multiplier. So just to remind you, for the increase, I'm going to say 100, add 12, which gives me 112, divide that by 100, and so the multiplier is 1.12. For the decrease, I'm going to say 100 minus 25, so that gives me 75. Divide that by 100, and so the multiplier is 0.75. Right, you try the last four. There are the answers for the last four multipliers. Hopefully you got those right. If you're feeling confident enough, we can now continue to the next part of the lesson. So the question is, how do you know it's a reverse percentage? And it's actually to do with a few magic words. In this case, for all of these 5, it's the words original price. Because they're asking you for something that happened before the original price, before the increase, what that means is that you're going back in time, and so therefore you are reversing, and that's a reverse percentage. So if we look at the first one, after a 10% increase, the price is now £55. Find the original thing. So first we look at the multiplier. A 10% increase is 1.10 because it's 100, add 10, divided by 100. The price is now £55. And so the way we're going to work this out is we are going to say 55 divided by 1.1. If you want to, you can say 1.10. If we type that in, we're going to say 55 divided by 1.1, and I get 50. And so the price before the increase of 10% was £50. All right, let's look at question 2. After a 20% increase, the salary is now £360. Find the original salary. So 20% increase means that the multiplier is 1.20 or 1.2. The salary is now 360. So I'm going to say 360 divided by 1.2 or 1.20. And I get 300. And so that was the price before the increase. Okay. Now in this set of work, there is another increase question, number 3, and then there are decrease ones. I want to see if you can figure them out first before you press play. All right, let's look at those last few questions. So question 3, I'm going to say 72 divided by a 50% increase means 1.5 or 1.50, and you should get 48. Here we've got a decrease question, question 4. The coat is now 45 divided by a 25% decrease. So that means the multiplier is 0.75. Okay, and what you should get is £60. So the coat was originally £60. there was a 25% decrease, and now the coat costs £45. Right, question 5. The phone is now £270. There was a 10% decrease, so I'm dividing by 1.10, and I get an answer of £300. All right. Check your work, see if you're okay. These were just starter questions. We're going to level up in a sec. All right, let's look at question 6. A shop increases prices by 15%. A bike now costs £460. We'll find the original price. Right, so the increase by 15% is 1.15. The bike is now £460. So my calculation will be £460 divided by 1.15, and I get £400. So before the increase, the bike originally cost £400. Right, let's look at question 7. A value is decreased by 30%. The new value is 84. Find the original value. So decreased by 30%. That means that the multiplier is 0.7 because it is 100, take away 30, which is 70, divided by 100, which is 0.7. The new value is 84. So my calculation would be 84 divided by 0.7, and you should get 120. Let's look at question 8. After a 5% increase, a meal costs £18.90. Find the original cost. Okay, so you've got a 5% increase. That means you're saying 100 plus. The calculation would be 18.9 or 18.90 if you want to, divided by an increase of 5%, so 1.05, and you should get £18 on the dot. Question 9. A jacket is reduced by 20% and now costs £64. Find the original price. So reduced. Reduced is just another fancy way of saying decreased. So we're going to say £64 divided by, and it's always divided by when you're reversing. I'm hoping you've noticed that. Divided by a reduction of 20%, so that is 0.8, because it's 100, take away 20, divided by 100. Right, and if you've done that, you should get £80. Okay, so a jacket is reduced by 20%, now costs 64. What was the original price? £80. Question 10. A number is increased by 40%. It becomes 126. Find the original number. So you're going to say 126 divided by, because we're reversing, an increase of 40%. So it's 100, add 40, divided by 100. That gives me 1.4. The number you should get is 90. Okay, we're nearly there for the developing questions. Question 11. After a 12% increase, a television costs £528. Find the original price. So we're going to say, for this question, 528 divided by, if it's a 12% increase, it is 1.12. What do I get? I get an answer of £600. So it's now £600. Last question. A car value falls by 35%. It is now worth $9,100. Find the original value. So we're going to say $9,100. If it is decreasing by 35%, it means you are going to say 100, take away 35, divided by 100, and that gives me a multiplier of 0.65. That answer is 14,000. Okay, so those were the developing questions. Okay, next screen or next slide, I'm going to make them even more difficult. All right, so for these questions, 13 through to 18, I want you to have a read through them. Pause, have a read through them, see if you can answer them. And when you press play again, all the answers will be on the screen. I'm not going to talk through anything. I want to see if you can figure them out yourself, because that is how you learn, by engaging. Okay, here are the solutions for questions 13 through to 18. This set of questions had nice different kinds of words. There was the word VAT, that's always an increase. We talked about populations, we talked about price. You'll notice that I'm very lazy with regards to units. I never put pounds or something like that in. Generally, it doesn't matter. You need to pay attention, though, to your exams. So for your exams, they might put the line where your answer goes, and then maybe they will want pounds or maybe they will want kilograms. So that you need to pay attention to. But generally, it doesn't matter. I'm so sorry if I am telling you something that your other teachers have said that you absolutely have to write. Sometimes they just don't notice. All right, last 3 questions. We say they're challenged. They're really not. I want you to try them, and I will write the solutions down for you once you press play after pressing pause. Right, with these last 3 questions, the question 21, you will notice that you'll get an answer of 883.6363, and it carries on. Because you're dealing with money, you always round off to 2 decimal places. That's just a rule. So with money, you round off to 2, they will mark that. Right, I hope I taught you something in this video. Good luck with your future exams.